Hi there, welcome back. I have a quick project here that I want to do a tutorial on and show you guys how you can create one of these yourself. This is a Rolodex box that I made out of chipboard and pattern paper and just using some paper straws. So let's get started and let me show you how you can make one. So first of all, you're going to need a medium weight chipboard or a light chipboard. You could probably even use cardstock. I am using this very thin chipboard that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. I did get it online. And I just want to show you that it is extremely thin, so you could use cardstock if you don't have any chipboard. So you'll need one 12 by 12 sheet of your base, which should be whatever you're going to use, and then you're going to need pattern paper to decorate it, and I'm going to use this coastal paper, the beach, ocean, sand, and summer theme here. On this one here that I have, I use the Mint to Be Fab paper line to make this one. Okay, so you have your chipboard, your paper. You are also going to need one sheet, I believe it's one sheet of, maybe it's two sheets. Two sheets, just to be safe, of your cardstock matching your paper. So I'm just going to use white on this one. On this one here, I used black. It's going to be what you bind your box together with. So depending on if you're going to have some type of border on your box, is because it's going to show on the bottom. So this one here I have black, and I'm just going to use white for this one here that I'm going to show you. So you'll need, I think it'd be about two sheets, maybe only one, but anyway, so you'll need that. Then you'll need a hole punch. I'm just going to use a standard hole punch, but if you had your crocodile or any other type of hole punch that you are going to use. And then you're going to need scissors, a pencil, a ruler. You're also going to need your two straws, or you could use the wooden dowels. I'm just going to use two straws, and I'm using straws because they're easy to cut to the length that you need. So I have those. If you're going to distress the edges of your box and your paper, you're also going to need ink, and then you're going to need some type of glue to put your pattern paper on and to attach your pieces to your box, to put your box together. You could use score tape. I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac to attach everything. You could use hot glue to attach your straws or your wooden dowels. That's totally up to you. I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac for that. Okay, so first of all, I give you the measurements of everything. I have everything cut out and ready to go, and I also have it all distressed front and back of all my pieces here, but I'll give you all the measurements. So here I have all of my pieces, and I marked mine because your side pieces have to be laid just right when you put your pattern paper on and when you put it together. So I marked mine so I would know which was going to be where. And the reason is because when you have all your pieces like this cut out, you want to make sure that your side pieces have this pointing to the outer part of your box, okay? You can't have it this way, because it'll be too long on the end. So you want to make sure that you flip them so that it points out. So what I did is I laid them all out, and then I just marked them inside, 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 so I would know. So let me give you the measurements of each one of these pieces. This top piece here is going to be 3 inches by 5.5 inches. This bottom piece is going to be 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches. This little piece down here is going to be 5.5 by 1.5. And then this piece here is actually going to be 1 full sheet, and it's going to look like this. And it's going to be 4.5 by 7.5. And I'm going to show you real quick how to cut it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and you're going to mark it at 1.5 inches up here at the top. And then you're going to flip your paper around, or your chipboard around, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side and mark it at 1.5. Then you're going to take your cutting board and you're going to line up your lines that you just made. So this one's going to be up here, and then this one down here on the bottom I'm going to line up right where my cutter is going to cut it, like that. So I have it lined up where it's going to slice this, and then you're just going to slice it just like that, and then you'll have 2 pieces, and then these will be exactly the same. So that's how you cut your side pieces. And there you have it. So we'd lay it like that. So that's how you cut your side pieces. Okay, so then you're going to want to pre-cut all your pattern paper down to the sizes that you need. I have all mine cut out already here for what I'm going to use. I have mine 1/8 of an inch smaller than my base because I want a little bit of a border to show. If you don't want the border, you can just cut your pattern paper to the same sizes of your chipboard. That way it'll cover the whole chipboard, and you wouldn't even necessarily need to distress any of the edges, only on your pattern paper if you wanted. So this is going to be the inside of my box, and then this is going to be the outside of my box. So I'm going to show you how I cut these side pieces because it is a little tricky. So what I did, let me move all this stuff. What I did is I took my side piece, just take one of your side pieces. It doesn't really matter which one you take. And then you take this piece, which is 3 inches by 7 inches. And that's the same as what this would be, okay? So then you're going to take it, and I know that I want a border all the way around mine. So I'm going to lay this paper on and give it a little extra room. So that's pretty big amount of an area that's showing. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to make sure that it's straight. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to trace this right along the edge. Like that. And then I'm going to just cut it out. And it should give me the border that I want. And if you know an easier way to cut it out, by all means, you can do that. But this was what I came up with. So it's perfect. Like just enough border around. And that is how I did it. So you have, this is your template to make your other ones, okay? Now, when you go to use this as your template, you want to make sure that this is laying correctly on the paper that you want to use. So this would have to be flipped over with no pattern to fit this one the way you want it to fit. So make sure you have this paper, you know, the way you want it, and the pattern or template to be upside down, so that when you trace this out, you are going to have it to fit this other side. If it's flipped over this way, it won't fit. It will be wrong. So make sure that it's upside down when you trace this out. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up the top edge up here, and then I'm just going to trace around the whole thing. Okay, so I'll cut that out in a minute. So now you know that you need 2 more for the outside of your. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to want to do it on this side. So this is the way this will show on your piece. So you're going to want to put this one just like this on this one, because it's the same as this side, just on the outside of the box. So one of them has to be facing up, and then the other one has to be facing down. Okay, so just make sure you're paying attention to that when you're tracing your template, so that you get it the right way. Okay, so I'm going to cut these out, and then I'm going to ink them up, and we'll move on to the next step of this here. So give me a second, and I'm just going to cut these up. And then we're going to ink them. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I showed you guys how to do this, because it was kind of tricky. So, but I have everything else ready to go. Okay. So there's that. Okay, I will ink these up in a minute, just so I can get moving to the next step here. Okay, then you're going to need a template for your holes. So I have a piece of chipboard here that's 3 and 5.5, 3 by 5.5. It's the same size as your top piece. It's going to be the same size because this is where your holes are going to be, and this is also where your holes are going to be. So what you're going to do is take your template, and then you're going to put your holes, and I just kind of eyeballed them where I wanted my holes. You could measure if you wanted them to be exactly in the middle, but it kind of looks like it's in the middle, so that's what I went with. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take this template and you're going to want to punch your holes in these before putting your box together. So you're just going to line it up, and you're going to punch your holes in your top piece and in your bottom piece. So just like that. And then you're going to take your bottom piece and you're going to do the same thing. And the only reason why you're doing this is because when the box is together, you can't get your punch all the way down to where you need your holes to be. Because, I mean, you don't want your holes up here. You want your holes to be closer to the bottom of the box. So this way, if you use the template as well, your holes will line up, and you won't have to worry about your poles being at a diagonal or anything if you use the template, because they'll match up perfectly. So that's how you do that, and you want to do that before you put your box together. So let's see. Then the next step, what you're going to do is you're going to put your pattern paper on the inside of your box. So I'm going to put these on the inside of my box here. So I'm going to ink these two pieces up real quick, and I'm just using regular stamping ink to do mine edges here. So, you know what, is that going to be, no, I was going to say, did I just cut that in the wrong way? But nope. Because I want to make sure my points, that's why I marked them inside, because I want to make sure that I laid them the right way. Okay, so then once you have all your pieces inked up and everything, you're going to want to put your pattern paper on. I'm just going to go ahead and do the bottoms here, because again, you're going to want to punch your holes. You know, once this dries and stuff, you're going to want to punch your holes again, because you're not going to be able to get to it when you put your pattern or your box together. So just waiting for my glue here. And you can use, like I said earlier, you can use any type of wet glue if you want, or you can use score tape right here, or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do these first, so I can give them, so they have a little bit of time to dry while I do the other ones before I punch my holes. And you don't want to punch your pattern paper before you glue it, because your holes might not line up, and you know, unless you're not doing a border. I mean, if you're not doing a border, you could, but since my pattern paper, you know, isn't the same size as this, I want to glue it before I punch my holes. So if I perfect on there. Perfect. Okay, then you're going to glue your base together here. Making sure I get all the edges. Alright. So there's all the pattern paper on the inside. Now let's punch holes in our top and bottom piece again. So just like that, and then you want to do it again on this one. And then what you're going to do is you're going to need to take your 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock, and you're going to want to cut them into strips of 2 inches. And then, so these are going to be your binding pieces. So they're all going to be 2 inches wide, and this one's going to be 7.5 long. This one is going to be 5.5 long. These two are going to be 3 inches long, and these are going to be 1.5 inches long. They are all going to be 2 inches wide. Then you're going to score them down the middle like this with your scoreboard. Taking this one here is going to be the 2.5 by 3 or 2 by 3. You're going to want to make sure that when you score these in half, that your 2 inch is always up here when you score them. Okay, your long, the length of them is going to be this way, the width of them is going to be. So they're all going to be at 2. And then you're just going to score them at 1 inch. So you're basically just scoring them in half. And then you're going to want to miter the edges of them. So you're just going to miter them. So they look like that. Okay, so again, you're going to have 2 that are 7.5, 2 that are 5.5, 2 that are 3 inches, and then 2 that are 1.5 inches. All ready to go. And I've mitered all the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just glue around. Just go ahead and glue them around. So I'm going to take the first 7.5 inch one, and we're going to glue it on. And it's going to obviously going to go on this side. And I'm just going to put it on this one here, making sure that your points on either end don't go over your chipboard, because you want it to line up. You know, you don't want it to go over the edges on that. So then you take the other one that's 7.5, and you're going to attach it to the other side. Of course, I get the glue that's like almost empty. Okay, then you're going to attach this one. Making sure you don't go over. Okay, now these are going to be the 5.5 inches one. What you're going to do is you're going to want to punch your holes in whichever side this one is going to be attached to. So let's see what you're going to do, because I don't think you're not going to be able to get to it. So what you're going to do is if you punch holes on this side, it's okay because your pattern paper is going to cover it. So what you're going to do is you're going to just glue this on and then fold it over like this, and then punch your holes, and it'll be on either side. But like I said, it's not going to matter because you're not going to see the other one anyways, because your pattern paper is, your pattern paper is going to cover it anyways. So I'm just going to put it on there like that, and I'm just going to let it dry a little bit before I punch my holes in it. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. I'm going to let this dry just a little bit. And while it's drying, I'm going to just attach these two side pieces. So just by gluing them up. When you're attaching your side pieces, you're going to want to leave a little bit of room, because this side piece is actually going to sit on top of this when it closes. It should come in right on top of your chipboard. So if you moved it up like this a little bit and just kind of pushed on it, you'll have a little bit of a gap, and that's what you want. Okay, now let's do this one over here, and you're going to want to do it the same way, leaving a little gap. So when it sits on there, it'll sit right on top of your box there. Okay, so there's that. Okay, now we're just going to punch our holes in this and then attach them. Okay, so here's that one. And then you're going to do the same thing on this one. Just going to attach these to this side piece here, or this chipboard. So, gotta wait for the glue to come down again. And And then the same thing, give it a little bit of a room at the top there, because it's going to sit on top of your chipboard there. And then you're going to attach this one to the bottom, doing the same thing, leaving a little bit of a border, like so. And there is the inside of your box. Now you're going to want to flip it over here and just kind of push it all down. Then what you're going to do is you're going to attach your side pieces. These pieces. So what I do to hold them up is I'm going to go put my straws in. But my straws are going to be a little bit larger than my hole, I believe. See, they don't quite fit in all the way. So what I'm taking is I'm just taking my little poker tool and I'm putting it in just a little bit till it gets to the fatter part of my tool, just to make that hole slightly bigger so that my straw will fit nice and snug in those holes. Just a little bit, because you don't want them to be too loose, so it fits in there real nice. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on this one. Now this straw is actually about the size that you're going to need. My other straws I actually had to cut, but I will show you how I cut them when we get to that step. So there I have my straws inside there. Now I'm going to attach my pieces to here. So you're going to need the 3-inch ones. And I'm going to just put glue on both sides of this piece here. And then just attach it by putting one of the points down at the bottom and one of them at the top. And just making sure that it's square when you're putting it on, like that. And then you're moving on to the next one. And you're going to do the same thing. So I want to make sure that I don't have my points hanging over too far. And you're going to do the same thing on the bottom two. Just use the last two that are left. And then you're just going to attach them on the ends. Oops, sorry. Like that. Now we're going to attach this one. And glue is making a mess. So there you have that. Alright, now what you're going to do is make sure that your straws are I'm just working on this one right here. because I don't want this to be bowed, I'm positioning my straws where I want them. And I'm trying to put them right at the edge so it's nice and smooth here. So then what I'm going to do, oops, this is, make sure that, you know, that's dry. You're going to want to make sure that your ends are dry because I just pulled that, so. Okay, then what I'm going to do is, this is flesh, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my pattern paper. This would be the point to where you can add a little bit of hot glue here on the inside, depending on how loose it is, but these are pretty tight, so I think once I put my pattern paper and my glue over that, it'll hold those into place and I won't have any problems with those straws moving. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to glue it up using my piece that my 1.5 by 5.5 inch piece here. Well, you know, cut down. It's a little bit smaller, but 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around. And it's already inked up and ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that on there. Well, I guess what you could have done too, if you wanted, was to ink up the white, if you know, that white border around that edge there. So, like, you know, if you wanted to ink those up a little bit. Like that. Yeah, I want to make it up a little bit. So before you put your pattern paper on, you might want to ink this up. So yeah, like that. I think that's good. Okay, so then what you're going to do is, well, you know what, while I have my ink out, I'm going to ink these up. These little edges here on my outside pieces. Ink those edges. And we'll set them aside. Let that dry a little bit before we mess with them too much. So, inked them up, move them aside, and now what we're going to do is we're going to trim off this little extra, like there is a little bit that is hanging out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push, because this is kind of bowed and I don't want my pattern paper to bow. So I'm pushing my pattern paper so it's straight. Okay, I don't know if you can tell, but, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip these off with my scissors. I'm going to, without pulling my without pulling the straw out, I'm just clipping, pushing it in a little bit and just clipping off about what was sticking out the end. Oops. So then positioning that back. Like so. So there, I have that like that now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this one here, just so it goes down in around that straw there to hold it where I want it. And then we're going to go ahead and ink up our pattern paper, or not ink up, glue up our pattern paper here, and we're going to go ahead and attach it. And then we're going to do the side pieces, making sure I get the right one. And if you have everything ready to go, it's pretty quick to go together. If everything's cut and ready to go. So we're going to do the other side, and then we're going to do the bottom, and then you'll be all done. And then as your glue dries, this box will stiffen up a little bit. I have noticed when the other one that I made, which I will show you what I'm talking about. Okay, now we're putting our bottom piece on, and there you go. There is your Rolodex box, but you can see how flimsy this is. This is the one that I made a couple days ago, and I just want to show you, once your glue dries, it does harden up, and it's not as flimsy. This is going to be really flimsy at first until your glue dries and stuff. But it actually, you know, see what the difference? I mean, you can see. So just to show you, it is a little flimsy at first, but it won't be after your glue dries. So anyways, yeah. I just wanted to show you that because it is kind of flimsy before your glue dries. So there's the Rolodex box. I will leave all the measurements to everything and supplies and everything down in the description box. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so for more videos. And thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.